Hey fellow foodies, it's Faye from facefood.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this deliciously moist, spongy strawberries and cream cake roll. So the first stage is we really want to combine our egg yolks, make sure they're at room temp, the lemon juice, lemon zest, and vanilla. We have this over simmering water, and we're going to cook that until it reaches 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Then immediately you want to move it to your stand mixer. Make sure that you have the wire attachment. You can also use a hand mixer, that's fine as well. And you want to basically whip this for about 10 to 15 minutes until it reaches the stage where it's ribbony, it's thick, and it's just lighter in color. You see how it ribbons off the whisk? That's what we are looking for. We'll move that to a separate bowl to cool down a bit, and then you immediately want to clean your bowl, your whisk. Make sure to actually scrub both with some fresh lemon juice, just to get rid of any bacteria, because now we're going to whip our room temperature egg whites to stiff peaks. And really, when you're working with this recipe, you want to make sure you have your mise en place, because you're working with egg whites and egg yolks, and the volume being retained is very important in this recipe. And as both sit, the volume will deflate more. So you really want to make sure to work quickly to have everything ready to go. So you can see I'm gradually adding in the granulated sugar a bit at a time. And you really want to begin adding your sugar once you start to see the egg whites kind of foam up. Once it gets that foamy stage, you initially see a little bit of foam, you can add in the sugar bit by bit. And it's about a medium-high speed that I have this on. And of course, you can also use your hand mixer. It's just going to take a bit longer. So you can see we're not quite at stiff peaks here. But what I like to do is I like to stop it short, and then kind of finish it off by hand, just because this ensures that I will not overbeat it. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it this way, just in case. So you're going to get a bit of a workout, but it's definitely not as much as if you had to do this entire recipe by hand. So it's not too bad. So you just want to whip until you get moist, stiff peaks. We're almost there. And this recipe is not really difficult. It's a little more advanced just because it does require a bit of preparation beforehand, but that's really it. Okay, so once you reach the stage you're looking for, which I think we're there, you can see it's not really moving off the beater and it's not moving in the bowl. So I'd call those stiff peaks, and we're ready to go. So we're going to quickly move to place about half of the meringue into our egg yolk mixture, which has cooled a bit since we've whipped this for about 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, and then you want to gently begin to fold the whites into the yolks. And again, you want to make sure not to overdo this, and you want to make sure not to deflate the volume in either the yolks or the whites. Make sure to scrape the bottom of the bowl, make sure to get the sides. So once we incorporated about half of the meringue, we can go ahead and sift in around half of the flour. We're using cake flour. This is really going to yield a tender crumb for our cake. You can use all-purpose in a bind, but I really love what cake flour does for this cake. Alright, so once the flour is in, you want to, again, gently fold this all in. You don't have to overdo it. If there's a bit of flour, that's fine. We just don't want huge pockets of flour, because we're going to keep mixing. We have 2 more additions of the meringue and then the flour. So if you don't get it all here, it's totally fine. Okay, so just give that a fold. And now I'm going to add in the rest of the meringue all at once. Again, being gentle enough to not deflate this. Okay, and then once the meringue is in, again, fold that all in. There's something really calming. I know it's weird, but for me, some people find working with dough calming, and I do, but I find like folding meringues in is another one of those things in baking that is just really kind of relaxing. I know it's weird, but that's how I feel. Okay, so once the second half of the meringue is in, we can add in our rest of our flour. And if you have to add it in 3 additions, that's totally fine too. You just really want to make sure to work as quickly as you can. Don't overbeat it or overmix it, and be gentle with the mixture. If you do those 3 things, you'll be fine. Alright, so I'm just going to fold in the rest of my flour. And really we're looking to get all the flour incorporated. We don't want these huge pockets of flour because they really won't bake off. And we want this properly mixed. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but just be gentle with it, just be patient. But also be mindful to work quickly. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really important to keep these things in mind. So what you want to do is you want to prep your baking sheet with some parchment paper. I did grease it with some cooking spray. You can also just use butter and flour it as well. Either way is fine. And then I also dust it with some confectioner's sugar. Alright, so now we have our batter ready to go. We're going to place it into a prepared pan, just gently pouring it in there. Use your rubber spatula to help get all of it in there. Definitely one of my favorite tools in the kitchen is my rubber spatula. And I'm going to use my other favorite tool, the offset spatula. And you want to just begin to move this around as evenly as you can. You don't want big pockets of batter somewhere and then other areas nothing. So just spread it as evenly as you can. Again, be gentle, don't deflate this, but just spread it evenly. And then you want to gently tap it on the counter a couple of times. We're going to bake this at 425 for about like 7 to 10 minutes. You want it golden brown, and it's going to spring back to the touch. Okay, we're going to let this cool for only like 5 minutes, and then we're going to well, we're not going to let it cool now. Actually, we're going to sprinkle our confectioner sugar on top immediately out of the oven. And then you want to place another piece of parchment over the top. And there's different methods to this. There's a towel method as well, but I find this is the easiest way to overturn it. And then you just grab another baking sheet, place it on top of that, and then be careful because the bottom pan is hot. You just flip it all over all at once. To me, this is by far the easiest method. You can use the towel method as well, and if you don't know what that is, you can look it up, but I just find that this is easier. So you can see, because we greased it really well, it comes right out. And we're going to just peel the parchment off. You can see how spongy this cake is, which is going to be good. So I really let this cool for like 5 minutes or so, nothing more than that. You do want to work with this warm. I just don't like to work with it when it's too hot. You want to immediately begin to roll this up into like a spiral, and we're going to let this cool like this for 20 minutes. And what this is doing is kind of allowing the cake to like form a memory of being in the shape, so that when we roll it later, it's just going to be a lot easier. Alright, so you can actually do this beforehand, but I kind of did it in the middle of the process when my cake roll was cooling. But I'm going to make the filling now. So I just have some cream cheese in there, just out of the fridge. You can soften it if you'd like. I'm also going to add some confectioner's sugar. You can sift it, but you really don't have to because we're going to beat this pretty well. And I also add some lemon zest in there. And some vanilla extract. And I'm also going to pour in some heavy cream. And really this is a matter of taste. So if you want it a bit sweeter, you can add more confectioner's sugar. You can add a bit more lemon. If you want it a bit thicker as well, you can add more sugar. Just be mindful that it will affect the flavor. So this is kind of a base recipe. You can kind of play around with it, but this is how I like my filling. So I also made a quick strawberry sauce with fresh strawberries cooked over like a medium heat with strawberry jam as well. I cooked those together, and then I mashed the berries up. I let that cool, and I actually put it into like a paper towel, kind of acting as a cheesecloth, so that any excess liquid would be drained. I let that cool in the fridge, and then I combined it with my cream cheese as you saw, and that's our strawberry filling. So after this cools, the cake, it cools for a bit, and obviously the filling cooled for a bit. You can unravel the cake roll, and then you just want to spread your filling as evenly as possible. I did end up using all of the filling, so it was enough for this cake roll. And this actually makes two kind of smaller cake rolls, or you can make kind of one giant one if you'd like. So that's up to you. But I'm going to spread this filling as evenly as possible. You can also put some more fresh strawberries in the filling if you'd like. And then you want to let that cool in the fridge, rolled back up for at least 4 hours. I definitely recommend at least overnight. It just lets everything set up nicely. And mind you, when you roll it back up, you want the seam side down so that it stays like that. I'm going to make these into 2 separate cake rolls. I just think that's going to be easier. And then I'm going to cut the ends off just for a better presentation. And that can be your little snack if you end up doing that. Alright, so I'm going to just use my offset spatula to move this onto our plate. And then I'll just roll up the other one, cover it, and then place it in the fridge for when I'm ready to serve that. These are really best served within the... Alright, so I'm going to decorate this with some confectioner's sugar. I like the look of it. It's going to add a bit of sweetness to the top as well, because the cake is not inherently that sweet. And I'm going to also pipe like a shell border on top of whipped cream. You can really decorate this as you please. This is the fun of baking, as you can get as creative as you'd like and have fun with it. So this is really the recipe. This cake is really easy to make if you prepare everything in advance, and it's just absolutely divine fresh on the first day or so. It's a great summer dessert. The cake is light, it's just sweet enough, and the combinations of strawberries and cream and lemon and vanilla, you can't go wrong with that. So I hope you guys give this a try. Like I said, the full recipe is on facefood.com. Like this video, comment below if you have any comments or questions. Subscribe to this channel for more great videos on the way. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.
I've been reading you to figure what you're down for. I wanna figure out to make it come around. But we should quit the game and settle things right here, right now. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about all the things you do. I wanna take you from